Okay, quick intro. Thanks for checking this out. I've been playing with Moire, as you can see, and I've just been making these little constructions, looking for things that I like. And so I found something, so here I am pressing record. If you want to hang out till the end, I'll give a breakdown of what all this stuff is and how it's working. Okay, so we're going to hear first the ascending line of the Moire, and then we're going to maybe hear it a couple more times. And then probably by the time we get here, it's going to be jumbled up, and then we can kind of be in whatever the groove is for this specific combination of dials, which yields a 16,341 year repeat cycle. So next Ice Age, we'll hear those ascending lines again. Here goes nothing. Okay, what do we have? We have MoireArp, 11 notes. This one's different, 16 start steps, and the step length is a 16th. So this bottom note here is 1 every measure. And then step increment 5. So 16, 5. So that's, 16, then 21 sixteenths, then 26 sixteenths, and so forth. We're increasing by 4 semitones. Each row of these is plus 4 semitones. Okay, that's just going through scale, major pentatonic. So close your eyes, throw the dart, bullseye every time. That is going into our rack here. Key assignments here. So that bottom note is going to the kick, and then this track called snare, and we'll talk about the snare in a second. So the kick is just my usual ZS Kick 2. I dialed in some settings that I liked for what this was. And then that's going to happen every whole note on the 1. The snare is a cheat, so it's going into a MIDI effect rack. 1 chain is a note echo of 4 sixteenths, so a quarter note. So that's going to hit on the 2. And then this one is 3 of those back to back. So that's on the 2, 3, 4, on the 4. So on the 2 and on the 4, that snare note is going to sound. And it's going into its own little rack, which is 2 DS snares. These DS instruments are underrated. So a layer of 2, those, 1 for body and 1 for kind of brightness, going through chorus. In the bass register is this marimba sample. It was just in the Ableton standard sample library. I liked how it sounded in those notes. This next one, binaural drips. This is just a usual thing of mine. Go record something binaurally a bunch of times and then bring it in, do a transient slice, throw notes at it, and get variety, but with the cool binaural spatial aspect. That's fronted by a note echo, so this is going to delay it a half note. Maybe it's cheating a little bit, but I'm just shifting things for certain instruments. I'm shifting them back or forward in time a little bit. This pitch here is not altering the pitch, but what it is doing is folding any incoming pitches to the range that these slices are going to support. So I think this is 32 slices. I can see from the push here, there's 32 lights lit up. So we just say start at C1, range is 32, and then mode is fold here. And so no matter what note you throw at it, it's going to give you back a note that plays in one of these zones here. Okay, so that's the drips. There's the binaural shaker. Same deal with the sliced binaural recording, getting back single hits with the pitch device with the fold mode for the right range. This one is preceded by a fractal note echo. So, one note comes in and then we're going to get this pattern. Here, let's solo that. I'm playing one note and it's going to do that pattern, and this is the fractal pattern. The red is the bass pattern, and then the orange is that scaled down by 71%, and then the yellow is the orange scaled down by 71%. So a little subtle effect there to get those little tiny notes in there. Okay, a couple of J8s in which are synthesizers in kind of the meaty range of the note possibilities. Soft sounds. This one's going through a, almost 100% plate reverb effect with a really long tail, so that's going to smear it out. Let's hear that. So that's what that sounds like, very soft. And then the next J8 sounds like this. So it's more plucky, and then it's got this TapPanZeit getting really fast in its echoes, kind of going left to right, and then getting louder as it goes along. Okay, this marimba ZS sound, it's just one of these mallet simulators going through reverb, mostly wet. Let's hear it. Okay. I don't know why it's called marimba. Anyway, and then there's this one. I think it's interesting. One last one in the rack called pads. Okay, what are we doing? We're getting a note. we're sending it through this key stepper. Now at each note that comes in advances the key stepper by a stepper. And then this key stepper is set up, let's start with pitch. Every fourth note, it's going to be an octave higher than what it received. Otherwise, it's going to just give back what it got. And the other interesting one is probability. So each time a note comes in, there's about a 25% chance that it actually goes out. Otherwise, there's a 75% chance nothing happens. So if a note does go out, it's going through 2 note echoes, each delaying 6. This was me having fun. 6/16, so that's 12, so that's 3/4. So that's, on the 4. If it came in on the 1, it would delay it to the 4. It's going down 2 octaves, then into a chord device, making kind of I'm going to just say the word augmented 7th. Then we're into another rack, and then we've got 4 different pad instruments. And we don't need to worry about like their specifics, but those 4 different pad instruments are going into, or their volume, you can see it changing here, is controlled by a Chiastic Slide. And so the Chiastic Slide is a device that I made that's a multi-channel crossfader. And so it's just set up for basically like even power. So let's just listen to this one in solo. So this is going to be listening to these 4 different pads, depending on where it's pointed. We're going to hear that one the loudest. So as these random happening sounds are coming through, we're also random happening kind of crossfading between these 4 different instruments. Anyway. Okay, and then I've got knobbler here. Here's the knobbler device in live. I have gone and mapped these parameters. So for example, the kick volume, snare volume, so this second row here is all volumes. And that corresponds to this row on the iPad. And then the top row here is more kind of parameter adjustments. And I just basically, I picked one parameter per instrument where I was controlling the volume. I picked one parameter to be able to adjust on that instrument. So I can bring the instrument in and out, and I can change one thing about it here. So that's there. And I may flip over to this tab here, which is just showing me the parameters of the currently selected instrument. And then I've got some instrument shortcut buttons that I've configured to jump to certain instruments, just so that I don't have to use the mouse and the computer quite as much. I can interact with all my parameters right here. That's it for sound making.